What is going on, guys? Mystic Mo here with a bonus episode for you. I'm going to be trying to do these more often, but today's episode, the first bonus episode of the Fantasy 4 podcast, is going to go in depth as to the running back waiver wire options in week 7. As you know, there was a slew of injuries that took place. Kareem Hunt out on the IR, Nick Chubb declared out for at least this very next matchup. We don't know what the status of Saquon Barkley is. We don't know the status of Damian Williams yet. We do know that he had tested positive for COVID and had to miss that matchup. So a lot to get into. The Bipocalypse is here. So a lot of teams, a lot of managers are going to be looking at where can they pivot, where can they move to not have this week be a total wash. You have teams like the Cowboys, the Jaguars, the Bills, the Chargers, the Steelers, all those teams out on bye, lots of fantasy options, especially the running backs, no Austin Eckler, no Najee Harris. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Before we start, I do want to let everyone know that as part of our launch celebration, we're doing a couple of cool things. First, go on thefantasy4.com and subscribe. You'll be entered to win an autographed Justin Herbert jersey. So that's pretty cool. And then secondly, at the Fantasy 4, we're doing a weekly pick'em challenge. Every week you go to our website, thefantasy4.com, go to the weekly pick'em tab, and the lines and the spreads for every week are going to be there. You make your selections for every week that you beat our average as the hosts. You get a ticket. If at the end of the year, your yearly average is better than the host's combined average, you get 20 tickets. And then we'll be doing a raffle for 1,000 big ones, $1,000. So make sure to hop in on that, thefantasy4.com. To be eligible, you got to be subscribed to the YouTube channel. You got to be subscribed to the website. And you make your picks every week, just like you would in any other or on any other website. Super easy. And, you know, it's a fun, free way to maybe make some money and support the show while you're at it. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Obviously, the first major topic is Kareem Hunt. Earlier today was put on the IR. Stefanski said that he'll be missing anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks. So he'll be out for the foreseeable future. And then Nick Chubb was also ruled out. He's dealing with a calf injury. He was ruled out for tomorrow's game. For Thursday's game against the Broncos. So very likely the top waiver wire priority or option this week is going to be D'Ernest Johnson. D'Ernest Johnson did fill in for Nick Chubb a little bit last year when he did go down. Was not that impressive, wasn't doing much. That being said, you're looking at a short week against the Broncos, who just got absolutely destroyed by Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake, of all people. So good matchup. Baker Mayfield nursing a shoulder injury. Doesn't look like he'll miss tomorrow's game. That being said, even if he doesn't, I don't expect there to be a lot of throwing. And if he does miss it, Case Keenum will be in there. Case Keenum, we've seen what he has before. Not really that great. So it seems like the Browns are going to continue relying on the running game for this matchup. And with that, D'Ernest Johnson becomes the top waiver wire priority. That being said, we don't know how long he's going to be, how long Nick Chubb is going to be out. So that factors into the equation as to how much money to spend or how much fab to put into the equation, or whether to blow your waiver wire priority. Here's my cat. Rascal. That being said, it really depends on your situation. So if you're sitting at 1-5, 0-6, you need a W right now, D'Ernest Johnson will get work. He will get game time. He will get snaps, and he is an option for a week where there's a lot of buys, a lot of options not there, and when you have your two main backs in Cleveland out. If you need a win now, looking to secure a victory immediately, I would recommend spending anywhere between 20 to 25% on your of your fab budget on D'Ernest Johnson. If you're sitting pretty, you don't really need to spend anything on him at all, just because he might be just a 1 week plug and play. We don't know how serious the Chubb injury is or how long he'll be out. Very likely that it's just a 1 week play. That being said, Demetric Felton is also an option that I like on the waiver wire. He'll come significantly cheaper than Nick Chubb. And I think he'll get work regardless. I think that Demetric Felton will fill into this sort of Kareem Hunt role that we had seen before. He'll fill into this Kareem Hunt role that we had seen before. And the thing about the Kareem Hunt role is it's not like Nick Chubb's where, he might be back after a week. Kareem Hunt is going to miss time. I think Demetric Felton will fit into this backfield once Chubb does get back. And, while Chubb's not in there, I think he'll be used as a pass catching back in the future. So I like picking up Demetric Felton. I think he'll have value this week, and I think he'll have value longer than D'Ernest Johnson could potentially have value just because of the types of roles on that Browns offense. So that being said, I'd spend about 15 to 20% on D'Ernest Johnson if you need a victory. If you don't, don't forget that this is a week 7 bye. So because, or a very hefty bye in week 7. So there's going to be a lot of people making a lot of moves, dropping some people that they may not have dropped in other situations. So if you don't really need a running back to plug in right away, I would actually recommend saving your fab, waiting on seeing who gets dropped. And, oftentimes the people that get dropped in situations and scenarios like these would provide more benefit than anyone that you would find on the waiver wire. So that's also something to take into consideration. Outside of the Cleveland backs, I think the next most popular pickup is going to be Devonta Freeman, running back for the Baltimore Ravens. Blank there for a second. We saw Latavius Murray go down, right, at the end of the game. And in his absence, it was Lev Bell and Devonta Freeman that took care of the snaps and took care of the backfield responsibilities at that time. Now, we don't know how serious the Latavius Murray injury is. We haven't gotten much indication as to whether or not he'll miss the game. We do know that Coach Harbaugh came out after the game, didn't really provide a positive update. So if it was something minor, I feel like he would have just said something immediately. So because he didn't say something immediately, I'm going to operate under the assumption that it'll be at least a 1-week absence for Latavius Murray. And with that, and while he was out, we did see Devonta Freeman take a majority of the work and do stuff with it. Lev Bell did score that touchdown, but a lot of that was, in garbage time. They were crushing the Chargers in that game. Very positive game script for the running backs. So Devonta Freeman is going to be there as an option, but also a little bit deeper. I like Tyson Williams. I know that Tyson has disappointed a lot of people. He did well the first week, and then for whatever reason, he's been a healthy scratch multiple times. John Harbaugh did come out of the game. Harbaugh did come after the victory and did say that Tyson Williams learned a lot of things and, benefit from the game, which I thought was weird. He was a healthy scratch. So oftentimes you have a coach comes out and you have 2 other running backs that were in the equation. You have a running back that just got injured and he chose to spend time to talk about Tyson Williams. This is totally speculative. I don't know if Tyson Williams will ever have a role, or not ever, but will have a role in this offense this year. But if you're looking for a dart throw, if you're looking for somebody that might provide value later on in the season, Tyson Williams, a lot of people have given up on him. He was a very popular waiver wire option at the beginning of the year. And I think that given the right opportunity and given the right situation, he could end up being the main guy in this backfield. He averages over 6 yards per carry. So he's been very efficient in the work that he's given. We know that there's concerns in his blocking abilities, but I think that with time, that might be something that he can mend over and eventually take the starting job from the backfield that's in Baltimore. None of the options there are interesting or exciting. And even, given the ineffectiveness and the inefficiencies, and now this injury, Tyson Williams could see an opportunity where, he gets more touches and ends up being the lead back here, but not for this week. I wouldn't recommend spending any type of fab or any type of priority on Tyson Williams this week. I would almost bet every penny that I had, which is not much, that he'll still be on waivers after they clear. I don't think anyone is looking at Tyson Williams. So speculative ad, someone to take into consideration. And this sort of also goes into this next person that I'm going to discuss, and that's Jarrett Patterson, backup running back for the Washington football team. Now, Antonio Gibson, we found out a couple weeks ago that he was dealing with stress fractures in his shin. And then during the game, he was out on the side for a little bit because of that. And then later on in the game, he was on the sideline because of a calf injury that popped up. Unclear whether or not they're 2 different types of injuries. or they're the same injury, we're going to have to operate under the assumption that it's an injury. I'm not a doctor, but I can't imagine that playing at an NFL caliber level of play on a weekly basis is going to be a positive thing for the recovery of a stress fracture. So I think that this Gibson thing could end up being long-term. I don't see how it doesn't affect him later on in the season. J.D. McKissic is probably already rostered in a majority of your leagues. If he's not, he's worth a pickup. I think I like him better than anybody else I've mentioned. So take a look at him, see if he's there. And if he is, I would 100% be comfortable spending up a good amount of fab on McKissic. But in deeper leagues or leagues where McKissic is already taken, I think Jarrett Patterson could have very intriguing value as very intriguing value at the price point that he's at now. So not a lot of people are going to be taking a look at Jarrett Patterson this week because of the buys, because they need to, restructure their roster and maybe add players to compensate for these bye weeks. But Jarrett Patterson, in the event that Antonio Gibson does go down, I think he would have solid value. I think he would take on that Antonio Gibson role, and McKissic would still factor into that pass catching back type of role that he's in now. But in terms of just the traditional running, the traditional carries, I do think Jarrett Patterson would take that role. Obviously, barring any unforeseen, like if Gibson were to go down and the football team trades for Marlon Mack, for example, obviously that would change the dynamic and change the equation. But that being said, all things considered and all things remaining the same, I like Jarrett Patterson as not a pick up and play immediately type of back, but I think that he could be worth a bench spot in the event that Gibson does go down with this nagging injury that he has. Michael Carter's another name out there. He's owned in a majority of leagues, but in the event that he's not, again, I think that he's the primary back right now. He looks like he's taking over the role in New York. I know it's the Jets. I know it's not exciting, but given the landscape that we got right now and given the injuries and the setbacks and all of that and the bye weeks, Michael Carter, if he's on your waiver wire, I would absolutely pick up. I would absolutely play this week, given the lack of other options available. And with that, those are my running back waiver wire pickups for this week. Tough week for everybody involved. We'll get through it. I'm personally in my main league, the league that we have with my buddies and the co-hosts on the show. I'm sitting at 2-4. I got ahead of the Bipocalypse, traded away Najee Harris a couple weeks ago, or last week, believe it or not, traded him for Christian McCaffrey and some. I traded. It was a package deal, but I got the short end of the stick on that one. It seems with Christian McCaffrey going on the IR, but we'll see how it progresses later on in the year. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you heard, if you're looking for some more advice on fantasy football, and we also do sports betting on the NFL games. Every week we discuss the lines, the spreads, all of that. So if you're into fantasy football, if you're into betting on the NFL, take a listen, hit like, hit subscribe, take a look at our content. It has some super helpful stuff and things that could give you an edge on, your league mates. If you're listening for the fantasy portion, or could help you make a little bit extra money if you're listening for the sports betting aspect of it. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Mohammed, Mystic Mo, and we will catch you on the release of our next episode, our Week 7 preview, which will be out tomorrow. Thank you.